Hey, 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 welcome back to the Passive Buddies podcast. And today's episode it is basically gonna be how Brandon makes a hell of a lot of money renting out his crap. Well, not his craft, obviously the good stuff, but like how he rents and uses the sharing economy to make a hell of a lot of cash for probably doing very little work. Would you say so?
Oh yeah, I mean, I literally don't do anything.
That's why he always looks so chilled out. Just wait,
Uh,
just wait. When the baby arrives, mate, the wrinkles will come and the
it's funny. I was thinking that I was like, well, because we have a puppy, right? And she wakes me up just like a baby would. She wakes me up at like 2, 4, and by 4, I'm just like, well, I usually wake up at 4:30, either because my wife is going to spin to teach, or I just find that I get a lot more work done, and it gives me much more hours of the day. And in doing so, I don't have to do anything with these cars and the sharing economy. So that to kind of encompass the sharing economy, you have to think of Airbnb or rental. Like if you rent a house from someone and you don't own the house, or apartment, so you're renting an apartment. That's kind of the sharing economy. Someone bought an asset and they're allowing you to use it, and in exchange you're getting paid. You're paying them to use whatever it is. If that's an apartment, if that's a house, if that's a car, if that's your DJ sets, if that's your drone, whatever that is, you're able to rent things out to other people and make an income from it. I happen to use, so before we owned 10 rental properties and I got into real estate. So we would rent our houses, other people would pay them down. And essentially that's how you create wealth, right? To create wealth, you have other people use their money to pay for your shit so that you can essentially not pay for it and use your money to buy other things to rent it out to more people, which then ultimately they're paying down your assets and you're then able to allocate your income to other income producing assets, and it just becomes a flywheel. I'll give you an example. I own 2 cars. I had one car at the beginning of this year. I've rented out this car for 2 years and it was making me money. And I was like, why am I not getting a second car? And so at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'll get a second car. The first car's already paid off. It's been paid off for like 3 years. I might as well have the income from this one car that's making 100% go towards paying down this car and making more money. By actually not buying the car, I'd be making less money, if that makes sense. So like by not taking on debt, I'm losing money. So I think that's a valuable lesson, that if anyone understands the concept of leverage, then this is very valuable. So I'll go into a little bit more deeper. So I have 2 cars now, and I have people that are saying, hey, Brandon, where's your car? I need to rent it. It's on an app, and I don't want to rent from someone else because you're so reliable. You have all these stars. You're easy to work with. Can I rent that car? And so now I have demand. And so now I'm like, wife, I need to get a third car. And finally she said yes, and we talked about this on the can you make money as a stay-at-home dad? So if you haven't watched this series of podcasts, you definitely want to start from there, because that was the beginning of this 5-part series on how to make money as a stay-at-home dad, or anyone really. But I just became a dad 18 months ago, essentially, and we are having a baby girl. And so this is where this topic arose from. And so with this, I'm now adding a third car that the first 2 cars are cash flow positive. And by literally paying no money out of pocket, I am getting a third vehicle with no money out of pocket. And so 100% financed and 100% paid by other people for renting that out. And so I'm sharing my vehicles to other people. They're renting them out and I'm getting paid for that. And I'm providing a car rental service, essentially. You can do this with your home. So there's a few ways. You can do it the more safe way but more expensive to get in, where you buy a house, you rent it out, and you're able to have someone pay down your mortgage. Or you can do it in a way of what people call Airbnb arbitrage, where you essentially don't own the asset, but you rent it. Say you live in a place that's a high traffic area for forests, then you have an apartment, and you essentially put the down payment on the apartment, you furnish it, and then you pay your monthly rent for it. But then you rent it out to people as an Airbnb. Obviously, know the laws. This is not financial advice. Make sure you are within the guidelines of whatever your laws are within your state or country. But essentially what people are doing is renting it out and renting it again to someone else and making the difference in the spread. And so people have done this and made millions of dollars by doing Airbnb arbitrage. There's another website called Fat Llama, which is a website where you can rent out your drone. You can rent out drums. You can rent out like electronics, essentially, to people that you're not using, and cars. And the sharing economy, if you're a stay-at-home dad, your car is typically just sitting there. My car is just sitting there. Brian's car is just sitting there. And so if we're able to share that with other people that might be in town visiting friends, maybe there a lot of these people that are my target audience, not really target audience, but most of the people that are renting from me are their cars in the shop and they need a loaner. They don't want to spend double the amount or triple the amount going to like a car rental place. So they'd rather use the sharing economy. And I'm able to capture a percentage of the revenue essentially from that marketplace of the car rental industry. And so if you're able to capture a small percentage, you're able to make a great deal of money actually. And so the sharing economy is just that. You're sharing your shit and having other people pay it down, and you don't have to do anything with it. So it's pretty nice.
So obviously you spoke about cars and you mentioned a little bit about Airbnb. Like, give me some other examples, like what else you can do on the sharing economy. I think you did also mention tech was a Fat Llama.
Yep.
Right, okay, so we've got tech,
Yep.
we've got cars, we've got houses. Is there anything else that sort of stands out that you could probably make some decent money?
You know what? I saw recently, and I don't know if this is really the sharing economy, but I recently saw something of like rent a friend. And yeah, and so you can literally rent a friend to go with you places to yeah, I don't know. Or maybe someone to talk to, you know, I wouldn't, escort includes like some kind of additional bonus, I would say. But no, these are people like to talk on the phone with or to text with. And I wouldn't really call that a sharing your economy, but I guess it kind of could be because you're sharing your time. But then again, I guess it's a servicer job and you're not really using an asset. Really, the goal of the sharing economy is using an asset where you could rent it to other people. I mean, I guess the sharing economy could be money, right? You can give a personal loan to someone, charge a percentage, and then do that. I think they actually have websites where you can actually loan money, like crowdfunding in a sense, then you get money based off of that. I mean, that's what banks do, right? Like essentially banks are just one big Ponzi in a sense where people keep putting money in and it pays, you know, a small percentage, but you have to essentially, they take your money and they lend it to other people. They lend it to me as an investor at 5%, and they make arbitrage on your 0.01% interest. They pay you 0.01 and then they charge me 5% or 7%, whatever the interest rate. Our loan for our mortgage is like under 3%, so it's like free money. But I mean, I'm sure there's a million other things like that you could do to be in the sharing economy. I'm guessing books. I mean, you can buy them on Amazon or you can join. I'm guessing you can rent them out to people. I mean, that's a perfect one. I remember here we go. school, there used to be the short amount of time I went to college, I remember for a couple weeks, and then I would ship it back. And essentially, that's the sharing economy. I'm renting a book. They've already paid for it. It's an asset for them. And now they're making money on the ongoing textbook that they're renting out year after year to the different students every single year. I was going to do back when I lived in California, we had a podcast studio, and it was in our gym. It was nice, and we were only using it a certain amount of times. And I was like, hey, why don't we rent this out? And we just started to do that and start getting, I guess, interest. But then I ended up moving to Texas. And so we ended up getting rid of all of that. But that's another thing you can do. You could essentially pay for all the equipment, set it up, and now you have a rentable space as a podcast studio in the so there's so many ways you could, or assets to make month after month by just sharing your shit.
Nice. So, guys, obviously, I think there was a few different ways, wasn't there? Then it was like you have your asset, like whether it's your car, whether it's your laptop, the stuff that you've already got. Then obviously you can go out and rent that.
Yeah.
Then from there was, well, you could create something and rent it out. Like obviously they're doing the whole Airbnb arbitrage, or like for instance, like the podcast scenario, like rent an office, deck it out, make it look good, and rent it out for YouTubers, for podcasters, like studios, like. So there's like so many different things that people can leverage and share because they don't want to pay what the traditional companies will charge. So no, I absolutely love that. And obviously it's a great way to, as you say, if you're at home, like have a look around, see what's around that you don't use that you could potentially rent out. I think I've got a stack of phones I could probably take a look at that I just don't use anymore. So there's so many different things you could do. So guys, it's just about, do you know how when someone's like, I've got no money, or like I don't know where I can get some income from. It's about being resourceful. The sharing economy is a very resourceful industry that you can massively tap into and make some cash. So that is the final part of this little series that we went on. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you've got any other ways that you suggest to make money online as a stay-at-home parent, then let us know in the comments and we may dive into some of those little topics. But for now, we will see you on the next episode.
Peace.